The jet that should have redefined American air power hit Mach 2.2, vanished from radar, and carried a bigger punch than anything before it. Yet today, it is gathering dust while the costlier, less advanced F-22 owns the skies. In 1991, a single procurement decision overruled groundbreaking technology, costing taxpayers billions and changing the future of aerial combat. But why did the YF-23, once unbeatable in every technical category, never get its chance? The answer is buried in a story few have ever heard. At full throttle, the YF-23 cut through the sky at speeds topping Mach 2, roughly 1,500 miles per hour, matching the fastest fighters of its era. But raw speed was only part of the story. Where the Black Widow truly pulled ahead was in its ability to sustain supersonic flight without afterburners, a feat known as supercruise. With its General Electric engines, the YF-23 could supercruise at Mach 1.6, allowing it to cover vast distances at supersonic speeds while burning less fuel. By comparison, the YF-22 managed Mach 1.58 in similar tests. In a world where every extra minute at speed could decide the outcome of an engagement, that edge meant longer time on station, fewer aerial refuelings, and a greater reach into contested airspace. The secret lay in the aircraft's design. The YF-23's diamond-shaped wings and blended fuselage created a lift-to-drag ratio that squeezed more performance from every drop of fuel. Engineers shaped every surface to minimize resistance, letting the jet slip through the air with less effort and less heat. This efficiency was not just about saving money, it meant a fighter could outlast and outrun adversaries, staying in the fight when others had to turn back. For pilots, it meant the difference between striking first and running out of options. In the unforgiving world of aerial combat, that kind of advantage is hard to ignore. Stealth wasn't just a feature on the YF-23, it shaped every line of the jet. The aircraft's diamond-shaped wings weren't chosen for looks. Their sharp, angular geometry scattered radar waves away from enemy sensors, shrinking the radar cross-section far below what adversaries expected from a fighter this size. Northrop's engineers aimed for a radar signature so small that, according to classified estimates, it measured as little as 0.0001 square meters, less than half the size of a bird on radar, and lower than the F-22's own already impressive numbers. Public sources never released the exact figures, but even Air Force evaluators acknowledged the YF-23 as the stealthier contender. The advantage went beyond radar. The YF-23's engines sat deep inside the fuselage, hidden behind S-shaped ducts. These channels blocked direct lines of sight to the engine faces, which are notorious for reflecting radar waves. At the rear, the exhaust flowed through wide, flat troughs lined with cooling tiles. This design spread out hot gases and mixed them with cooler air, reducing the aircraft's heat signature. Northrop claimed a 40% drop in infrared emissions compared to conventional fighters, a difference that could keep the Black Widow invisible to heat-seeking missiles and ground-based sensors alike. By blending the wings and fuselage into a single, seamless surface, the YF-23 eliminated the sharp corners and protruding fins that betray most jets to radar and infrared search. Even antennas and panel lines were carefully shaped and treated to avoid scattering signals. The result was a fighter that didn't just evade detection from the front, but from every angle, top, bottom, and sides. In a world where being seen first means being shot down first, this level of signature control promised a survivability edge no other fighter could match. Hidden beneath the YF-23's sleek exterior, the internal weapons bay told its own story of ambition. Northrop's engineers did not just design a compartment for today's missiles, they carved out space for the unexpected, giving the Black Widow a margin for growth that few fighters could match. The main bay stretched longer and deeper than anything seen on the F-22, with side bays designed for stealthy launch and rapid access. In its demonstration configuration, the YF-23 carried 4 AIM-120 AMRAAMs and 2 Sidewinders internally, matching the F-22's loadout. But the geometry of the bay, with its extra volume and clever arrangement, was built to handle more. Design documents and industry analysis suggest the Black Widow could be upgraded to carry up to 8 AMRAAMs, doubling the air-to-air punch without sacrificing stealth. That same space offered room for larger next-generation missiles or air-to-ground weapons, something the F-22's tighter bay struggled to accommodate. By keeping all armament tucked inside, the YF-23 maintained its radar invisible profile, even as weapon sizes and mission demands evolved. For Air Force planners, this flexibility hinted at a fighter that would not become obsolete with the next wave of technology. Instead of a fixed arsenal, the Black Widow offered a platform ready to adapt, whether the mission called for more missiles, heavier bombs, or weapons that had not even been invented yet. In a world where threats change fast and budgets change faster, that kind of future-proofing was more than a luxury. It was a strategic advantage waiting to be claimed. Test pilots stepped into the cockpit of the YF-23 in 1990, expecting the unknown. Over a series of 50 official test flights, the Black Widow ran through every maneuver the Air Force demanded. By the end of the campaign, the two prototypes had logged 65 hours in the air, each sortie another chance to prove the design was not just theory. Paul Metz, Northrop's lead test pilot, described the jet as stable at all speeds, with a smoothness that made high-altitude flight almost effortless. He recalled how the chase plane, an F-16, needed afterburner just to keep up, while the YF-23 cruised on dry power. One test pilot later said the aircraft felt like it wanted to fly itself. Handling reports praised the Black Widow's poise. Even without thrust vectoring, the V-tail and blended surfaces gave it crisp response and confidence at the edge of the envelope. During simulated combat runs, pilots noted how the YF-23's stealth and speed let it control the fight from a distance, slipping away before opponents could get a lock. The aircraft met every requirement set by the Air Force, with no need for mid-test redesigns or quick fixes. For the pilots in the program, the Black Widow was not just a paper champion, it delivered on the promise every time they took it up. The financial realities behind the YF-23 tell a story of missed opportunity. Northrop's program estimates put development costs at $750 million, an amount that, by modern standards, seems almost modest for a leap in fighter technology. Industry analyses at the time projected that selecting the YF-23 could have saved the Air Force as much as $30 billion over the full production run, compared to its competitor. These figures were not just marketing spin, they reflected real differences in design philosophy and support requirements. Projected operational costs for the Black Widow hovered near $44,000 per flight hour, a sharp contrast to the F-22's estimated $68,000 per flight hour. Maintenance requirements were expected to be 35% lower, thanks to fewer moving parts and easier access to critical systems. For a fleet operating thousands of hours each year, the savings would have added up quickly, freeing resources for upgrades, training, or entirely new programs. Budget projections from the era, including those referenced in internal Air Force documents and industry white papers, consistently highlighted the YF-23's potential for lower life cycle costs. In an environment where every dollar is scrutinized, these numbers should have carried weight. Yet, as the competition moved forward, financial logic began to collide with other forces, ones that had little to do with spreadsheets or efficiency. Lockheed's path to victory was not paved by performance numbers alone. During the fly-off, their team staged a dramatic missile launch from the YF-22's internal bay, a move Northrop did not match. The spectacle was not just for show, it left a lasting impression on Air Force officials, who would soon make the call. Lockheed's reputation had momentum from the F-117 Nighthawk, the stealth jet that stunned the world in Desert Storm. That success became a calling card, reassuring decision-makers that Lockheed could deliver on promises, even with new technology. Meanwhile, Northrop was still dealing with the fallout from the B-2 Spirit's budget overruns. Memories of those cost spirals lingered in the Pentagon, fueling doubts about whether Northrop could control spending on another ambitious project. Behind closed doors, Lockheed's lobbying machine worked overtime. Reports surfaced that the company spent tens of millions of dollars courting support in Congress and the Pentagon, outspending Northrop by a wide margin. Hopes of a Navy variant for carrier operations also played a role, despite that version never reaching production. Promises of a naval design suggested more future business, and that idea carried weight with some decision-makers. When the Air Force announced its decision, the contract did not just go to the jet with the best numbers on paper. It went to the company that made the right promises and showed the right connections, and that convinced the right people. Today, the YF-23's technology remains locked behind classified doors, shaping black projects while its promise gathers dust. As global air power races forward, America's boldest ideas risk being lost to bureaucracy. Sometimes the future is abandoned, quietly in a hangar. What would you have chosen? Let us know below.